Ladies and gentlemen, you have waited all week.
Yeah, Boogie Page. Throwing it down for All Things BMX is ready. I know I am. Let's hack the ATB Airways. Let's kick it. All Things BMX. It's a BMX show. Unlike the rest, if you need some info, they got the best. Like and subscribe, kick back and relax. Said it's All Things BMX. It's a BMX show. Unlike the rest, if you need some info, they got the best. So like and subscribe, kick back and relax. All Things BMX is streaming to you. So post up on your couch, screencast to YouTube. It's gonna be fun, it will be a blast. You gotta do much but kick back and relax. They come into you live from a studio, or they might be at the track, man, you never know. So don't go anywhere when my rhymes are done, cause the show's just starting, let's have some fun. I said it's All Things BMX. It's a BMX show. Unlike the rest, if you need some info, they got the best. So like and subscribe, kick back and relax. I said it's All Things BMX. It's a BMX show. Unlike the rest, if you need some info, they got the best. So like and subscribe, kick back and relax. All Things BMX got the boogeyman's back, so I wrote them a track to send some love back. JT, Melissa, Chris, and Paul, DJ Damon, kinda get to entertain y'all. And I wonder who they'll have on the show as a guest. I bet someone good who's gonna impress. Guess I would just have to wait and see. Let's get the show going and start the party. Said it's All Things BMX. It's a BMX show. Unlike the rest, if you need some info, they got the best. Like and subscribe, kick back and relax. Said it's All Things BMX. It's a BMX show. Unlike the rest, if you need some info, they got the best. So like and subscribe, kick back and relax.
Welcome into the All Things BMX show. We're on episode 164, ticking
Crazy.
away to 200.
I know, that's crazy.
We have episode The Machine tonight.
That's what I heard.
Greg Hill's on this evening. Greg's a 10-time national number one pro, 4-time national number one pro cruiser, and yes, they do count. 4-time number one racer of the year, Nora Cup, multi-Hall of Famer. Greg will be joining us on that Danger Snack video satellite feed. So you guys tune in. Snuggle up. It's going to be a fun ride this evening. I want to thank Danger Snack for providing us with that satellite Zoom feed. If you guys haven't done it, make sure you get over there and check out Brian Dorsey's Danger Snack. It's the difference between dragging ass or hauling ass. I'm going to tell you what, Austin found out. You take one of them bad boys in staging and you're going to go out and win your main event. Our opening song is brought to you by the Boogeyman himself. You guys can check him out on Spotify. Give him a like, give him a follow. Don't forget, you can support the show by sending stars. If you're on Facebook, just click the link below. You can send stars to the show. It helps
Please
out.
do.
And you can go over to our Buy Me a Coffee page. We'll get those links in the show note for you. Michigan Studio is brought to you by our good friends at Desoto BMX. If you guys haven't done it, get down there and race under the big top. It was a good time when we were there. A little cold, but yeah.
I mean, it was November, so
It was.
for us, it really didn't feel cold.
Nah, it wasn't.
Just didn't have your long underwear for your race.
Nope. The show's chat is brought to you by the good people of BMX Rocks Photography. And we got a good question this evening. It was popping off out in Reno.
Yeah.
Should all nationals be ran on dirt tracks only? I guess this was a big topic. I heard a little bit about it before the show. So we said, you know what? We're going to make that the chat question this evening. And the show doesn't happen without the support from our good friends at 110 Nutrition, Answer BMX, Hotshop BMX Racing, On Two Wheels BMX, Gate 9, Bombshell Mega Design Group, and branded pop-up canopies and dye job apparel. Without any further ado, we're going to welcome our guest in this evening. Mr. Hill, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
We are
Yeah, we're
excited
excited.
to have you
Absolutely.
here this evening.
That was a nice intro. It's cool.
Yeah. It's been a long time. Been through a couple of revamps and everything. So as we said, welcome to the show. We usually try to start out with the same question with all of our guests, and we would like to know or have you tell us how you found the sport of BMX.
The sport of BMX. Well, I, like probably you guys and most people, just riding a bike in the neighborhood. I was the youngest of three. I have two older sisters. I think I had a Roche Union. It was just some cheap old bike. But when we were about, I'm 59, so when I was 3, 4, 5 years old, I was young, but there wasn't a lot of gadgets and stuff like now, electrical gadgets and that. I found the bike. I think I started riding a two-wheeler at 3 years of age.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I crashed a lot and got bloody. But by the time 4 and 5, riding around the neighborhood back in those days, you could. I could never imagine I've got 4 kids. I don't imagine at 4 years old I'd be letting them ride down the street. But ride down the street, and our house was like 3 or 4 houses from a dirt lot, and so I just kind of would go and ride and follow the kids. And then by the time I was 7, 8, I was riding all the time. At 10 years of age, I was good friends with a buddy of mine, and he was racing. Him and his brother raced, and so they were going to a race in a place called Escape Country, and they were like, "You should come do it." And I'm like, "I have no idea what to do," and they're like, "Just show up, just come with us, we'll take you." So I went. My parents didn't go. I went with them and signed up, and I raced my first race, and that was in I don't know, the summer of '74, probably. I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how I got going.
And how long did you race till you got your first, your first sponsor?
I want to say it's a weird deal because when I went with them and I came home, I was really excited. Loved the sport. I loved the bikes and loved watching the races, just going. It was great. And I had, I know kids are just excited. It seems like the kids are really excited. You get lucky and you get labeled with ADHD and stuff. So that's what I had. I went to like 3 different elementary schools because basically my coping skills, they weren't that good. So but I could use my fists and it was easier. So not a good, but I would get in fights, I get kicked out of school. Once I found my bike, I was like on the bike all the time. Went to that first race. I came home, I was excited. I wanted to go racing. And my parents were like, "Well, we don't have time, and I'm sorry." And they weren't gonna take me. And so my older sister, Tanya, who happens to be married to Stu, she was 17, I think, and I was 10. She said, yeah, she was 17, I believe. She said, "We're going racing," and she put my bike in her little red VW, and we drove to WSA, Western Sports Realm, a place in Orange County, and somehow, the first night we went racing, I was only 10, so I really don't know how it happened, but for some reason she kind of liked this dude named Stu Thompson, and they met, and now she wants to go to track like every day of the week, so that worked for me because I want to go to track too. So she would take me for a long while. So to lead into the sponsorship deal, my parents were like, my dad especially, "Well, we don't have time to go." But then once he went, it was like, I don't know how long. It could have been weeks or a month. And then the next thing you know, he's partners with the guy running the track, and it was called Western Sports Realm. So, my first sponsor would probably be WSA, which was Western Sports Realm, and they had a pro shop. So it was my dad was selling GT frames, so it was called Pedals Ready GT, and that was the jersey we wore. And that was like my first. It was like a mom and pop sponsor, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of the. Once we got to that point, it was just my mom was doing sign-ups and scoring races. So I wanted my mom and dad to come watch me, and they went and watched me, and then that turned in like really quick into now my dad's running the pro shop and running the race. My mom's scoring races, and they're still not watching me. They might see me go around the track, but it's not like they're in the bleachers and we're all hanging out. They're busy running the races. So
that's unfortunately the lot of every volunteer. Because they all have kids there, or they are
Right.
racers themselves, and
Yeah.
have to like, okay, wait, hold the concession line so we can go run and watch this, this
Yeah,
moto.
that's pretty really, huh? Probably. It's pretty common, yeah.
That's pretty unique to have your sister sort of be part of your BMX story at the start of it,
Yeah.
the ride.
Yeah. I think a lot of people jump right to the whole, Stu and Greg, over the years and the battles and all that. But for me, it's like, I think the most awesome thing is that my sister was able to see, here's a kid who basically has way too much energy, not enough, no direction. They were, I never took it, but they set it up to where, every day I would go to the office and get a Ritalin pill, for my, I never took the stuff. They gave me a little white cup and a pill, and I always tossed the pill and never took, I actually never took the stuff until I was probably in my mid 40s, and I did it for a couple of weeks and never did it again. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, she saw that I needed something, some outlet, and then from that was just the best thing ever, so.
That's awesome.
Did you have any time off in there at all from like before you, we'll get to your pro career, but say before you just got pro, did you have any time off where you didn't do the BMXing? Maybe it was like school sports or anything like that?
No, not really, because I started when I was 10.
Okay.
So when I was 10, I started racing, and I just liked doing it. And I'm kind of one of these guys who, if I like something, I just do it. I don't get tired of it. I don't usually get tired of it. Like, I don't want to race now. I'm over it, But that's after 40 years of racing and doing it professionally. It's just like, it's not something I want to do now. But I think it's because I spent 15 years at that level. But at 10 years old, I started racing. And the challenge every week was to try to do good. And, the biggest setback, in this whole deal when I started was that, like, my first trophy was, second place behind a girl, So it's like at 10 years old, the last thing that you want to do is get second behind a girl. No offense, Melissa, but I'm just
none taken. We like to be motivators.
I think my wife, she's in the next room working. She works from home. She works for a law firm, does billing and collection. But yeah, when we were 10 years old, she was kicking my ass on the track. And my second place trophy was behind her. Probably happened about, I don't know, for like a couple of months,
Behind your wife?
She's 8 months older than me. And if they're, and they would let the girls race 1 year younger, right? So
okay.
I had to race her for like 6 or 8 months, and the first couple of times I raced, I would go in and staging, and she already was racing for Western Sports Run, so she had the Western Sports Run jersey, long hair, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what moto I'm in. I don't even know what a moto sheet is at the time. I'm just there to race, and it's like I'm just going to follow these people, and I'm like, wow, I noticed her, and I was looking at her, and then the next thing I know, she's in my race, and I'm like, oh wow, this is weird. And then the next thing I know, she's 4 bike lengths ahead of me, just smoking me every race. But she was good, man. She raced like, she never really got beat too much when she raced in the women's classes, and she came back when I think she was 35, it was in the mid 90s when I had a gig with Redline. But she came back, and because I was going all the races, she raced, and she got NAG 1, and she won a lot of races, and it was great because we could do it all together. And she would come back and be like, I never knew that the girl racing was, and not that it's not serious, but she would say the women are way harsh than the men are. Like women would like give her shitty looks and talk a bunch of crap and say, oh, you're just at home training all day with your husband doing sprints. And like my wife would basically put her beer down and hop out of the chair and go race. Not that she was drinking beer, but she wasn't at the track doing laps. She wasn't, she would just ride and have fun, and that's it. And, she just did really good. But yeah, she beat me my first trophy was second behind her, and that took me a couple months. I finally, a couple months in, I don't know how this worked itself out, but we had a dead heat that gave us both first place.
Oh, wow.
And that still sucks because that's not winning. You still got second behind a girl. If you tie for first, and it's a guy, and I'm not a male chauvinist. Believe me, I'm not. I'm just saying. You're 10. You don't want to get beat by a girl. I'm sure Justin can relate to that.
Yeah, I had to chase Sam Allen around the state for a long time because we were close in age.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that deal. So.
How long was it before you sort of transitioned out of just doing the locals and found the national scene, like the national scene?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. When I was like 11, we went to a couple races, nationals. But when I was 12, we started going all, like Northern California, Arizona, racing the NBA nationals and stuff. And I was still riding for, WSA and that. And then when I was 13, I remember when I was 13, my dad said, one night he came home from work and he's like, "Hey, what do you think about racing for FMF, Scott Breithaupt?" And I'm like, "Hey, that'd be awesome." I didn't know Scott Breithaupt like everyone else did because I was 13 and I wasn't aware enough to care. I just was like, wow, a sponsor, because riding for WSA was like riding for my mom and dad, basically. And then I got on this team with, unbelievable, with Stu and Perry and Jeff Utterback and Scott. And it was like, hey, we're going to a national next weekend in Dallas, Texas. And we would like hop in his van and drive there and race and then come home. And then in 77, when I was 13, my parents were like, hey, Scott's doing a 6-week tour. And we signed you up to go. And I'm like, okay. So I went and that was great yeah, that was a great experience, but it's not one that you'd never want to send a kid on that. There's just no way. I would never send it ever. But we did. I went, and the blessing in it was that Stu was on the trip with us, and he was like, for lack of better words, he was like a big brother because I was 13 and he was like 19. There's like a big difference right there, the difference between a 59-year-old and a 65-year-old is really nothing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but younger, yeah.
Experience and everything, but when you're 13 years old and he's 19, that was a pretty big. I don't think my parents would have sent me if he wasn't on that tour,
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense.
But my parents probably wouldn't have sent me if they knew the bus was going to break down 150 times and get the trouble that we got into. So it was an unbelievable experience. But
the starting of BMX, all BMX stories. So when the bus broke down.
Yeah, just, but that was like the beginning of Riding Factory. And after that, I got on to the Schwinn team for a little while. And then from Schwinn on to Redline, so from there, when I was 14, I was traveling all around riding nationals and turned pro when I was 14, something like in the summertime, I guess. My birthday's in late October, so it was, 4 or 5 months before my birthday, I turned pro. And so I told my dad, because we would race these nationals and 11, 12, 13 years old, I was, finishing first in my class. And at the end of each year, I would, win my class and stuff. And it was, it wasn't like I'm pretty humble. I try to be humble, I don't think about any of my career ever, like in this room I'm sitting in, there's like no trophies, there's no pictures, nothing. I just try to be normal. But I told my dad, listen, I'm tired of this. It's like boring, man. I want to turn pro because it just started like a year earlier, the pro guys. I'd rather get last place in the pro than win another 14X main, I'm over it. And so he talked to Ernie Alexander, who was the president of the NBA, and they said, all you need is a couple signatures. So I'm like, all right. So we got him, and I turned pro, and I raced my first race in Simi Valley, and I was in 4th place. And David Clinton was ahead of me, and he had a flat tire, and he pulled to the right, and I went by, and I got third, and I won $50. And I was like, "This is cool."
You were 14 when
Yeah.
you were 14.
So I was 14 when I turned, and Eric Roop, which I think Eric's birthday is in June or July, one of those deals. And he turned a couple months after I did. So at one point he was 14, I was 14, and we were both pro. I turned a couple months before he did. So
That just seems so young.
That's wild.
yeah, it is. I mean, it's not like the sport was new, right? It's
Sure.
really not that impressive. Like if you were to say that a 14-year-old just signed a contract with the NFL, that would be like, oh shit, are you kidding me? This is just not like that, you know? I mean, sport was new. The pro class was like really, it's not like if a 14 expert today turned pro and started racing against Yoris, you know what I mean? That just obviously would not work.
No.
So
Not well at all. Not well at all.
not at all. So yeah, it's cool,
He's
and it worked because
smoking.
it was the early years. But today it wouldn't. It wouldn't happen.
Yeah, that's an interesting comparison.
Going back to the tour you were talking about with Stu, was that with the first SE bus? Was that?
Yeah, that was the first SE bus, the very first one. It was Scott's idea of getting a school bus and having his team go on the tour, and then having a handful of others, 8 or 10 other kids. So I think there might have been 18 people total, and to just go out on a tour on on paper it's great, right? But the bus was just like, we left Long Beach and we only made it to the state. We didn't make it there. We made it to San Bernardino. So for a reference point, that I want to be generous when I say we might have made it 100 miles.
Oh,
And
my.
and I was too young. I don't know what happened, but the thing broke down, and we're in some shithole Motel 6 hotel in San Bernardino, waiting for it to get fixed. And it finally gets fixed, and you make it a little further, and it just broke down so much that at one point it was so bad that we were somewhere in the Midwest, and we were driving on the interstate. I think it might have been Interstate 40. And Scott was like, "All right, keep your eye open for a white van. My brother Jeff's coming, and he's going to meet us." And I mean, this sounds stupid, but you're going to meet us, and we're going to build some bunk beds in the van, and we're going to just get into the van and finish our tour. And that's exactly what happened. We were cruising along, and it's like, there he is. And built the bunk beds. They had myself, Eddie King, a guy named Sean McEwen. We were like the youngest guys. Put them in the bunk beds, that's cool. And then, the bunk beds collapsed. And so that,
Oh, my God.
the whole thing was just like ridiculous. But it's also something you can look at, and I draw a lot of learning from it. But It was like, hey, you're never letting your kid go on that. What? Dude, there was so many people in that van that at one time we got off the freeway and we were turning, and the rear, I don't know which wheel it was, the lug nuts broke off. The wheel went flying, and we were stuck in the middle of the intersection. We're like somewhere in Tennessee in the bus, and it's broke down on an off ramp in the middle of somewhere in Tennessee. And we had massive fireworks. So it's like, we're on the off ramp, we're lighting skyrockets, fireworks. The trooper came and took Scott and put him in the back of the thing and took him to jail. And like this is the stupid shit. Like, it could never happen like that today.
No.
People would be
No.
It would never happen.
No, that would
If they
never
ever do a
happen.
movie on it, they would never ever be able to replicate the whole thing that happened.
It sounds like a trip of follies.
How often were you guys calling home and checking in?
I don't know, man. I don't know how to give an accurate, probably every day or every other day.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know exactly. We there's no cell phones.
That's where I was kind of going with that is.
Yeah, you got no computer, no cell phone, no get to the hotel and hop on the computers. There's nothing. There's just payphones, So, I would imagine, I can't remember honestly, but I wouldn't think that I wouldn't think that I would go weeks and weeks without calling home.
Right.
Even then, like, you think there's no way like a parent would load their kid up right now without a cell phone. They're like, okay, take your laptop, but like,
Right.
There's no way. Like, hey, 6 weeks later, see ya.
World.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's different times, man,
Yeah.
that we're living in,
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. Wow. Wow.
I know. Speaking of fireworks, I'm gonna jump in just because it fits in. William Prince, Aaron Brian Fell. Prince texted me before the show, and Fell said in the chat about firecrackers in Greg Esser's shower. What's the story on this?
Greg Esser. Greg Esser is the biggest jokester that I've ever met. The deal is that his parents are in on it. His mom was big time. So I went to Esser's the first time I went and stayed with them. And usually it's not just like you're going to go stay with Esser. You're going to show up and there's like 8 dudes staying there as well. And it's just a big fun deal. So I was in the shower and apparently I learned, afterwards I found out. So he went into the bathroom. He had a big old strip of firecrackers. Apparently he held them while his mom lit them. And he threw them in the shower while I was taking a shower.
Oh
and
my
it was,
God.
Unbelievable. And that was the kind of shit we did. Well, he did. And Dad, George, he would be sitting in the corner with his, 3-week-old stogie that he's chewing on. He would just be smirking, laughing, and Greg's mom would be right in there with them. And usually Brian and Greg would be pranksters. They would just do crazy stuff. And so that's the deal there. That's kind of the deal where you get there and you're like, okay, who wants to take a shower? The first night this happens, and you're going to be there for 4 or 5 days.
That's some PTSD right there.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Oh, that's funny.
There was so many. I had so many people sending me questions and stories before, like once we announced you were going to be on. So we got all kinds of crazy ways we can go. If you got something you want to jump in or follow like a linear line, just let me know. We can. But I kind of threw everything on that, people sent in, and I'll just sort of kind of punch through and ask these questions, and we'll keep talking. You tell us the stories. But I know one of them I saw in the picture, and this was Chris also had this one was how did the you lose end up on the back of your pant? Well, aside from stitching it on there, but like, what's the story behind that?
It's another parental deal. My dad had these ideas, it first started, and he just brought my helmet home, and it said "You lose" on the back of it, and I said, "Wow, why is that there?" And he was like, I don't know the exact words, but he's like, "Hey, this is great. You know what? When you win, people will see, they'll be looking at you and they'll say you lose." And he didn't understand that maybe people might be pissed off and have more energy to try to beat. But that's how it started. And so I just rolled with it. What am I going to do? And then as I got older, I don't know what the deal was, but when I was riding for GT, see Richard Long, one of the owners of GT who passed, he's since passed, but Richard Long was like the marketing guy at GT, and him and my dad were friends. And so, we knew him since I was probably 10 years old. And so when I started riding for GT, Richard was like, "Hey, you're going to put you lose on the back of your pants." And I'm like, "Yeah, there's no pressure in that. You know what? I don't know if I want to do that." And he's like, "Oh, it'll be good. You got to do it. You got to do it." So that's kind of the deal. We did it. And, I dealt with a lot of people would be like, "Oh, you're so arrogant. You think you're this and that," and, I don't really ever really care what people have to say. Like if someone pulls me aside and heartfelt talking to me, I care. You know, I obviously
Sure.
care. But if somebody's running their mouth, man, I don't care what you have to say. I'm not doing this or not doing it for you. So, you know, but it did have a lot of backlash. People thought it was pretty stupid. A lot of people thought it was cool. So whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also sort of kind of became your gimmick, I would imagine.
Yeah, you know, it's like everybody has, or you know, gimmicks or images or what have you. Try to make it fun, you know.
Yeah.
It's definitely not fun when you're at a race and you have you lose on the back of your pants and
And you
get
lose.
like seventh or eighth place and you get like
Right.
bucks, you know. Like it's definitely, and then you hear people going, "Yeah, you lose." It's like, yeah,
Definitely could see motivation not to be losing. if,
yeah.
if my
I
ass
think
said you lose.
it's just doing it, but yeah, it was fun. You know, it's all about having fun. You know.
That's too funny.
So speaking of having fun, this is I myself race cruiser like you did back in the day, and I have a lot of fun racing it. Did you yourself? Did you like racing cruiser? And to follow up to that is, do you feel and that pro cruiser is something that should come back around in today's pro racing?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, to answer the first part, I never had anything against racing cruiser. Like when I was racing pro early on, it was pro and pro open, and typically you're running 3 motos in each. You're running, because there used to be a lot of people racing back then. You're running quarters in each, semis in each, mains in each. So I never really rode cruiser. I never really thought about it, you know. And one time we were in 1982. We were at a national in Lancaster, California. It's probably, I don't know, it's like an hour from my place here in where we live in Shadow Hills. So we were going up there to race, and there was a really close team trophy. Used to be big, and it used to be GT, Hutch, Diamondback, Redline. You know, it used to be super competitive. CW as well. So we were going up to this race, and Richard Long says, "Listen, I want you to race cruiser this weekend." And I'm like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "If I had a choice, I'd just have you race pro cruiser. You don't even ride your 20-inch if you don't want to." And I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "You got to beat Clarence Perry. He's winning every time, and he's killing us." So I'm like, "Okay, I'll race it." So I got a 24-inch cruiser. We went to the race. I raced my motos. I don't know what happened to my motos, whatever. I made the main event, and I won. And so I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And well, winning meant that Clarence didn't win, and we won team trophy, and that helped us. And GT got #1 team like so many times. And I don't think after that I didn't race it for a while. And then when I was when I was on, when we did GHP. We started going to like these bigger races, world championships and stuff. And I'm like, "Hey, pro cruiser, it's another opportunity to win a title, you know?" And so I raced it in 85 and 86. And I won like NBL 85, 86, #1 pro cruiser, and USBA 85 and 86. And then the 85 UCI Worlds in Canada, I won on my cruiser. And then after that, I was just like, I kind of got over it a little bit. I remember being in Waterford Oaks, and I was on tour with my dad in 85. And for some reason, for whatever the deal was, I'll never forget, it was at NBL National. I was going for the 20-inch title and the cruiser title, and I didn't make my main in 20-inch. And then I won my pro cruiser main. I came back to the tent, and I was just so pissed off because my attitude was like, if I'm going to win one of these classes, I want it to be the 20-inch, not the cruiser. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people say, well, people don't understand why, right? My why is that when I get into the gate on a pro cruiser, I don't have, I'm not going to name names. I don't have 15 of the guys that I'm battling with in the 20-inch class.
Okay.
It's nowhere near as competitive. I can have an off day and get top 3 in Pro Cruiser every weekend, and I have an off day on 20-inch and I'm watching mains. It's just so that was kind of the deal, and it felt like after 86, it was like, you know what, the Cruiser is kind of like for me. I don't want to rely on it. I don't want it anymore. I'd rather just park it and focus on the 20-inch, you know. And to answer that last question is, should they bring Pro Cruiser back? Well, yeah, I think they should bring Pro Cruiser back, and they should bring Pro Open back. But the big drawback is that when, you know, they only get 4 guys to sign up for it, they don't want to really run the class, and I don't blame them. You know? It should just be a situation where this is just super easy. It just doesn't take a lot of brains to figure this out. Have it at every race. And in order to make a class, you got to have 8 guys. And if you don't have 8 guys, then you refund their money and you don't have it. It's that simple. But manufacturers and companies are trying to sell cruisers, so why not have, you know, one of your pros riding one? I don't know. It makes sense to me, but you know, they don't have. I got to be honest. I don't watch it. I haven't watched BMX. I don't tune into it. I don't pay attention to it. I don't even know what's happening in it. But, you know, and I'm saying that as a guy who lived it every day of my life for 40 plus years. And it just got burned out. And
I bet.
Some of my buddies will call me like, hey, you know what? My buddy in Germany, we talk on WhatsApp. He's like, I'm going to watch UCI this week. And I'm like, sorry about that, bro. I'm going to watch paint grass grow before I sit and watch the UCI Supercross race. I don't think so. But it's nothing against that. It's just, I'm over it. I'm like,
okay.
It's like eating the same meal every day for 40 years. It's like same content all the time. I got just burned out, you know?
Understandable.
Yeah, it does. That makes sense.
Did you have any change in it when you saw like the Supercross stuff start to kind of, you were back involved with the kind of the second run around with GHP. Did you any like, oh, wow, this is different. It could make a big change or anything. Did you have any feelings? I never
really embraced it. You know, I truly do not like UCI Supercross. And the reason why, and I don't know that a person, like, to give my reason and for me to respect someone else's reason, they got to be full cycle in it. I'm not hearing this from the 25-year-old that's killing it on the UCI circuit. Dude, you're killing it. Good for you. That's awesome, right? But here's where I'm coming from. I grew up in the sport. I raced pro for 15 years, owned a company for almost 15 years. I'm a grandparent. I'm a parent. So here's the deal. Do I want to see my grandson hop onto a UCI track? No, I don't. Those guys are severely underpaid. It's super dangerous. I've literally watched at least 5 times the helicopter take people to the hospital from being at these events that I've went to. I've seen people in their careers, you know, for hundreds of bucks, for hundreds of dollars, guys are risking their life. I mean, you're jumping 40-foot gap with over an asphalt turn, you know, you take one elbow and make a mistake and hit the deck, you know, your career's probably over, you know. I just feel like a lot of parents who are getting into the sport, when they sit down and watch the Olympics, that's the biggest deterrent to get kids involved in BMX. Because, like, if I watch the Olympics with my kid or my grandkid, there's no way I'm driving them out to race that. It's not going to happen. And the UCI racing is not a true representation of BMX. And basically, not even 1% of the population can ride those tracks. So I'm open to being wrong, but thus far, I've never heard anybody explain it in a way where I'd be like, oh, you know what? Okay, that makes sense. I just think it's too dangerous, and it's not really BMX in my opinion. It's not the kind of thing that's going to grow BMX, and that's just how I feel.
I agree. I've always had this opinion on it, is that if you watch basketball in the Olympics,
I'm
it's the
right there
same,
with you.
it's the same court, the same thing you see on TV is what you're going to take the kids to or a family to. I never understood it. And when Tom was on, Ritz, the track builder, he had said that, part of the reason they built the big hill was so everyone had the same speed, which, okay, but still that's a really strange reason.
No knock to Tom, but think about how dumb that sounds. It's like, well, if you're watching tennis or you're watching football, basketball, if they're doing everything to help people be level, what good is the training? Like, what's the point of training so much? Like, why?
That's a great point.
How could you ever make sense of this? A guy like Maris Stromberg, okay, who, in my opinion, is the physically strongest, most powerful BMX racer I've ever seen in my life. And this guy is going down the hill, okay? And again, no offense, Mike Day's a cool guy. I watched him grow up in the sport. But listen, he was never in the same league athletically as Maris Stromberg's. So now you have a starting hill that basically really penalizes Maris Stromberg's, even though he was winning, and benefits guys who aren't nearly as strong as him. Like, that makes no sense to me. Why do you want to make it like, why would they want to make a start hill that would make it so you've got everybody equally, now we're all at the same jump at the first, all together. Now we're going into a first turn that's asphalt and we're all together. Like, why would you want that?
I think the answer would be TV ratings, maybe. But I mean, for the sport, there isn't a reason.
But there are no TV ratings. and BMX, listen, there's no TV ratings in BMX. There's internet ratings, but it's no TV.
True.
And ever since 2008, when the first Olympics happened for BMX, the sport, and again, anybody can research this, the sport was on heavy decline once it made the Olympics. And that's a fact. It's not my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's a total fact. Mm-hmm. And now, whenever the next Olympics are, I'm so out of touch, I don't even know, but, make sure and watch it, because you're not going to see BMX in the Olympics after that. It's done. It's not happening. It's just, there's no positivity to it. It hasn't helped our sport at all. Once the hype died, oh, it's an Olympic sport. Once the hype died, you're left with, you're left with nothing. Mm-hmm. You look at the Beijing track, 3-4 years after the Olympics, it's just a weed field, It's a total waste of money. They don't do anything with them afterwards. If you guys wanted to start a UCI Supercross track somewhere, you couldn't even get enough people to come race it to justify your.
Yeah. Did you see the video at all floating around? Well, probably not, of the Rio track. It's just completely oasis of. Yeah,
it's just it's like you said earlier. You can go out and run the 100-yard dash, and you can run it in California and Florida and France and Australia and New Zealand. It's the 100-yard dash, man. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
You're playing basketball. It's pretty much the same. There might be a few little tiny rule changes, but
mm-hmm.
They changed the sport. They changed the sport to where, in my opinion, it wasn't BMX.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't think we're going to see it after the cycle, with especially with the skate park or the park riding in it, because that stuff's blowing up.
It's already decided it's not going to be happening. I don't watch nothing about it, but I do have some pretty good friends that are in the industry, and I hear some things, but it's not happening. So.
Yeah. We're going to jump in real quick. Greg, we'll check in with Melissa here. And we'll do our chat check-in. And we want to thank BMX Rocks for sponsoring the chat check-in. It's been extremely busy. So how's it going over there, Melissa?
Well, considering I erased the first half, it's going great.
It's a good thing we got it on one of them screens up there for you.
So I'm going to be looking off screen because I can't look at my own right now. All right, we're going to say hi to Sean Gifford. Scott Sloan is tuning in, wants to know who he's going to see in Raytown Friday morning for practice. Excuse me, we're going to say hi to Rick Carter, Joe Rincon. Sorry you guys aren't racing tonight. That was a bummer. Michael Mag also tuning in. Justin hanging out in the chat. Let's see. Ty Guerin says Greg Hill's professional BMX skills, my Bible.
Right on. Thank you.
Hi to Jim Bosco, and Noah Robinson is also tuning in. Our good buddy Josh Brunt is checking in from work, says have a great night. Stephen Latchford is also tuning in. And I think I read later on that he got cleared to go back to work, so that's pretty cool for him. The legend Casey Allen also tuning in. Thanks. Nice to see you. Let's see. Jane Cardoza's at work. She's also tuning in, hanging out at Camp Bow Wow, which I think is the coolest name for everything. Hi to Brian Fell. Greg Esser is in here hearing all these stories.
Esser. I felt those guys. Florida guys. Dangerous guys. Man.
Yeah, they're following right along with you, sharing their own little tidbits here. Let's see, where am I at? Hubbard BMX Raceways tuning in. Says every time I see Greg Hill, I think about running bleachers.
That's great. Right.
Hi to Robert Cardoza. Thanks for always supporting us. We appreciate that. Josh Blair saying, what up, fam? Hi to Tom Johnson. Mike Herman's with us. William Prince also tuning in. Oh, they are. They've asked it a couple.
Mr. Prince's birthday today.
Oh, is it? Well, he would like.
Yeah, happy birthday.
He would like to know how you got your nickname Barb Wire.
Yeah, that's. A simple answer. I didn't even know how I got it. This guy named Dugan Fennell was an announcer for the ABA back in the day, and after like the third or fourth weekend in a row of him introducing me, every time we make the main, he's reading off the riders and he'd say my name and throw barbed wire in there. So one time I'm like, hey man, I gotta know something. I don't even know what barbed wire comes from. Like, what's up? And so he was like, well, you know, back when I was younger, I used to have a good buddy. And, you know, when I raced, I didn't shave, but every 4 or 5 days, I always had scruff or beard or whatever. He says, yeah, my buddies used to have the same look. And he was just like you. If somebody did something, he'd be ready to just throw down. And we used to call him barbed wire. So you remind me of him. And start calling him barbed wire. All right, cool.
I mean, somehow that's just nicknames just start.
That's just the announcer can say one thing, and next thing you know, you're being called that forever.
Yeah, it sticks. Yeah. All right, so hi to Martin Kennard. He says Greg was fast. He was one of the toughest guys I ever raced in my class. Emily Schaefer's tuning in. Scott said, he was replying to the chat question. He said, would it be physically possible to run only on dirt tracks? That would eliminate a lot of tracks that have the parking and camping and hotel space nearby, which was kind of my point earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Tommy Yaley says, shout out to my brother Greg.
Hey, what's up, dude?
Jeff Sunsiri is also with us, loving the stories.
I can't wait to hear the answer on that question.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, so Tom Johnson says, is it true Greg hired 2 guys to take out John Pringle at the Grands one year for the main of the Strider National Championships? If so, how much do I owe him, and can he do it again this year?
It's not true, but man, let me tell you what, when you have the best seat, I used to do some work with Strider for about 3 years, and we would I would always be there when they run their Strider World Championships. You know, when you think about it, it sounds weird. What do you mean Strider World Championships? But they had people coming from Japan and all different countries to race this thing. It was a great weekend. And what was the best part is they'd throw the adults on
I love it.
the big, right? And you just know dudes are going to crash their brains out. And so, yeah, I had nothing to do with that. That was just straight up, you know, racing. I was able to watch it from the infield. It was quite entertaining.
Nice. All right. So hi to a couple more people here. David Ortona is with us. Jim Bosco made the comment that maybe because Greg, you're on the burnt out side of things, that maybe you'd be a good judge on what they need to do to get the sport back to what it once was.
You know, I can be honest with you, like honestly here. I am, you know, I was talking to Stuart, you know, my brother-in-law just a couple of months ago, and he loves racing, man. The guy is just so, his gas tank is just full. He wants to race every day, right? So I said to him, I said, man, I don't know how you're doing it, but you got enough fuel to go another lifetime. I am just on empty. I'm done. And so in saying that, I don't care anymore, right? And I don't mean I don't care about BMX. Is what I mean is that I, for years, was like, I never had a problem with the NBL, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have been in the infield face to face with Bob Tedesco, telling him all kinds of things I can't say right here. And he's been telling me stuff that we've been in the parking lot, okay? But always maintain respect for the guy. And they never screwed me. And if they made mistakes, they fixed them. On the other side of the fence, I spent years talking to the ABA, to, you know, Bernie Anderson and, you know, Clayton and Merle Miniga, Gene Roden, all these guys who basically didn't ever care about the sport. They just, you know, even today, in my opinion, and people are probably going to hate me for this, again, whatever.
Your opinion.
They roll in the 18-wheeled ATM machine, and they run the crap out of their motos, and they take that money and they bounce to the next city. They don't give a shit, okay? Yeah. And I'm qualified to give this opinion because I taught clinics for 25 years.
Yeah.
I went to tracks multiple times. I was at Sycamore BMX once, and I asked Tony, the track operator, he was there for 18 years. I said, hey, when is the last time that the USA BMX showed up at your track to talk with you? And he started laughing. He goes, 18 years. And he looks out in the parking lot. He goes, I'm still looking for them. They've never showed.
Oh, man.
So for me, it's like I have had so many conversations with USA BMX, with all of them, and nothing ever happens. And what happens is I get the bad rep. They tell people I'm a crazy asshole, blah, blah, blah. I have friends in the industry that would call me and say, hey, I just got off the phone with Shannon, or I just got, you know what's cool is I don't give a shit, and I'm not in the industry anymore, so I could say what I want, and who cares? Because when this is done, I'm going to go back to doing epoxy, and it doesn't matter. But you know what? Those people, if you don't agree with them, then you're the one with the problem. Mm-hmm. And they don't see a problem with running 3-day nationals and having $50 entry fees and having no practice on whatever one of the days or two of the days. They don't have any problem when it's raining, running one moto straight to the whatever. They don't care. And if they did care, we'd see it, because there'd be no noobs and novices at nationals. There would be national class riders, and a national would have 150 motos, and the local tracks would have 150 motos.
Right.
Most local tracks have 9 motos, period. Mm-hmm. And most local tracks go away. They disappear. I don't have a track within 40 miles of me. Don't. So, you know, I'm done caring about a situation where, like, if you care and this person doesn't care and you can't make any effective change, how long can you care?
That's mm-hmm.
See, a lot a lot of the guys who pose these questions, or I'm not saying the gentleman that brought it up, but I'm saying a lot of people, maybe they raced when they were younger. Maybe they were gone for 20 years. Then they came back. I've been in the shit for like nonstop up till 5 years ago. Nonstop. And I just got to a point where, man, I'd rather sit on the couch with my wife and have some coffee and watch, paint dry than to turn on a national feed. I'm sorry, and watch.
We need to try that sometime.
Okay.
The problem is that when you get too involved in something and you're inside and you see how it's all working, you get disgusted. And
Sure.
when you can't effectively help with the change, when I say help with the change, I don't want anything, man. I remember telling BA Anderson, let me come to Arizona once every 4 months. I'm only 5-hour drive away. And let me give you some input based on all the tracks I visit with clinics and give you, and I don't want nothing for it. Nothing. You know how many times I went and did that? 0, because they don't care. And if you disagree with them, it's just, I'll end it on this. This is tell you who we're dealing with. I have a good buddy of mine. He sold a lot of GHPs for me in the Midwest, and I'm not going to say his name, but I was in Vegas at South Point at that 15-second shithole of a track that they run on. Okay? And I'm sorry if I offend any kids or parents. I'm sorry about that. But
It's all right.
No.
Yeah, I was there, and after the weekend, my buddy calls me and he says, "Hey, I was in line at the signups, and the side door opened, and I don't know who it was. It was BA or Shannon or John David. They pulled me inside and they said, listen, you got to distance yourself from Greg, man. The guy's crazy. He's not good for the sport." He told me all these things, right? And these are the guys that when you see them, when you pull into the national, who are like smiling at you and trying to be cool, but they're backstabbing you behind your back. And I don't miss it, man. I don't miss it at all.
No.
And, I wish it would be different, but it won't be. It's not going to be different because people keep showing up. And until you stop showing up, until you have a Bud Light moment and people stop buying your product, these people just keep on showing up for those points, man. They're not going to change. Why would they?
Yeah, that's true. New catchphrase.
Sorry about the negativity, but it's just
no,
love
that's
this.
fine. I'm pretty sure that we already have T-shirts being made with the 18-wheeler ATM machine.
That and have a Bud Light
I
moment.
didn't have a Bud Light moment. That's great.
They should use that as their new tagline.
That is
I'm pretty
awesome.
sure that a lot of people. I'm pretty sure that William Prince is probably laughing himself stupid right now because I know he agrees with a lot of what I'm saying. So.
Oh well, there's a
You
lot
have
of
a lot
people.
of support.
You do, yeah. There's.
And if you don't, it doesn't matter. You're entitled to your opinion.
Yeah, I don't.
After 40 years, you're gonna have one.
I mean, I'm gonna sleep tonight like a baby, and I don't care or whatever.
Exactly.
There's no fireworks off in my house. I'll be just fine.
Yeah, you might want to check the perimeter before you lay your head down.
There you go.
Just a few more shout outs and then I'll shut up for a minute. We're going to say hi to Mo Collins. Jeff Melky is tuned in. Thanks. We're glad you guys are here. Craig Robinson is also tuning in. Jeff had said that he's got Greg's signature on his BMX skills book too.
Awesome.
Bill Sharp's over on Facebook. Low and Slow is yeah, he's there. Low and Slow's over on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. We've got Mr. Tracer Finn also tuning in on Facebook.
What's happening, buddy?
Hi to Tim Weiss, John Pringle, Alice Bixler's also tuning in. We're all glad that you're here. Rick Carter says you have an open seat at the Beer Budget Show, which is another podcast show that you should probably go tune in on. Okay. Oh, Bob Yana says, "What's up, G?"
Bob, what's up, brother Bob?
And I want to say lastly, hi to Ryan Baumgardner, says, "What's up, fam?" And Scott Holwerda is also saying hi. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're so glad you're here.
Before we jump into the next topic, I just want everyone to know it is Amazon Prime, and you can get over on Amazon Prime right now, and you can get the Pro BMX Skills Greg Hill book. They have it over there for $26 because of Amazon Prime.
Awesome.
Or wait, no, what is it called? Prime?
Is it Prime Day today?
Prime Day or something, whatever it is. So there you go. Get over there.
Prime Day deal.
Buy the books up. You had mentioned a few times about the coach or the clinics you did and the traveling you did with that.
Yeah.
And when I got back to into the sport around 2017, I know that you'd been doing that for a long, long time, and you were grinding all the time with those. How did these come about, and how long did you do them?
I never set out to do clinics. To be honest, when I was in high school, I'll never forget, in 10th grade, I was in geography. We had to do a report, and then we had to go up 4 kids or 5 kids a day, had to go up and make presentation for the whole week. And so the day I was supposed to go, I ditched class. I didn't go. I don't talk. I never talked in front of people. Right? It was horrible experience for me. Not cool. So long story short, when I was on Robinson, and I was part of the GT family. So it was Robinson, Powerlight, GT Auburn. So we would go on these tours, and they had this double weekend in Florida, and we went on this tour, and they call it 8 Days of Radness, because we'd race a national Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then we'd make our way to the next one, and in between we'd do 3 or 4 clinics, right? And the thing was, on those clinics, man, we would have 150 people at these clinics for a 3-hour clinic.
Holy moly.
You can't teach to that many people in 3 hours. It's impossible. But so as we were getting introduced by our team manager, and it was myself, Gary Ellis, Charles Townsend, and Todd Corbett, right? And I was the older guy of the bunch. And so we were standing all in line, and we got introduced by the team manager. And then he says, "Okay, guys, we're going to turn it over to these guys. They're going to put you through a blah, blah, blah." And these 3 idiots, Ellis, Townsend, and Corbett, which I love these guys, they took 2 steps backwards. And then I was standing there as if I stepped forward, because they didn't want to talk. Well, I didn't want to talk at all, And now I got all these people looking at me, and I'm like, oh shit, whoa, what do I do? And a long story short is I kind of made it through the moment, and I started, we did what we did, and I'm like, oh, that was real funny, really cool, guys. By the end of the week, I was the guy who started it all, got everything going, did the formatting of the clinic, I made the decision of 2 of us are going to start over on the gate, and you 2 go to the last turn. You work turns while we work gate. You can't have 150 kids on the start gate and be like, yo, we're going to teach you how to get out of the gate right now. That's not going to happen. You can't have 75 people and make it work, but we tried, right? So anyways, the thing was, after that, I kind of got a liking for it. I found that it was pretty cool to connect with the kids when a kid would, when a 9-year-old kid would do a high-low pass and get it right and then come back, dude, with a big smile, and everybody's clapping, and it was no politics and no care what bike you have, and this is just us out here riding our bikes and learning, And after that, man, I was hooked on it, and I started doing clinics, and I did them for quite some time, and my goal was to do 25 or so a year, and I would travel out to tracks and stuff, and then we would do camps at my house. On our property, we have a back house, and then we have a little track. We had a little track out back, and so we would have kids come in and stay for 3 days, 4 days, and I just learned to love it, man, and it was great. It was a way cool experience. Like many, not to go on and on, but many times, one time I was in Arizona, we were doing this 4-day camp. And this one kid was just a nasty kid with a bad attitude, mother effing his mom, cussing at kids. I finally said to the guys, whoever I was with, it was during the red line years, I'm going with this kid. We're going to be back in 15 minutes. And I took him and we talked to him, and the kid started bawling his head off and telling me about his situation at home. And, you know, he was just a really unhappy kid. And I got to connect. It had nothing to do with BMX. BMX was the tool to reach the kid, you know, and I really enjoyed that. If I was asked what part of BMX do I miss, with a hands down, is teaching. I could care less about winning a race or winning a title or winning a championship, whatever. Who cares? I could care less about that. It's when you connect with the kids and you see that they kind of sort of tap into their own self, which maybe, you know, we all have that, but sometimes when you're there to witness that, it's amazing. It's a really awesome thing. So.
That's so cool.
Do you do any training at all anymore, or are you just completely?
I have stepped, like training, like as far as BMX goes.
Yeah.
No,
No?
I stepped away. Probably, oh man, 6 years now ago.
Okay.
I just got to a point where I did the teaching. I was doing GHP. Those are 2 full-time gigs, and having to be away from home. And I told my wife, you know, at one point, I'm like, you know what, we're GHP, I'm done. There's 250 frames on the market. They're not even all companies, right? They're just frames, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Can't compete with it, you know. We're out here trying to compete with 250 frame brands, and we're all trying to compete with the 20,000. I'm being real generous when I say that, the 20,000 members that the USA BMX has, and it's really not. It's not happening. You know, like every year, the frame sales would dip a little more and more, and you put more money into it and make them better, and have to sell them cheaper, and then in BMX you have this thing, and please, I don't want nobody hate me on this, but in BMX you have this thing. It's called the bro deal, the hook me up.
Yes.
Oh, hey, you're getting your stuff made in China. It's super cheap. It don't cost you anything. Hook me up. And it's like, okay. Yeah, I got so tired of that, man. And we had about 380 frames left. And I told my wife, I said, in a couple of weeks, we're doing $150 shipped. That's shipping included on every frame. And they're going to get all shipped. And we're going to close it down. And we're done. I'm out. I'm over it. Can't do this anymore.
I want to share with you though that your frames, like in my experience, they're still so sought after. I've got close friends, distance, and associates or acquaintances that still are sought after your frames, and they're still racing them. I still see them at the tracks.
I see them, and it's amazing to me. It really is, and I love doing it. And when I say this to you, I'm not. There's nothing in my heart that didn't want to do it. It's just that at some point when you have to get on the treadmill, or the hamster wheel, I should say, and you're going to all these events and you're gone all the time, and you know the amount of energy you put in and what you get back from it is super out of whack, you know. And I just had to be done. You know, for me it was spend more time at home, be home every weekend. You know, I might get a phone call. My wife might get a call, you know, hey, in a couple of days, our grandson has a football game. You want to come watch? You know, my grandson, my youngest grandson, he's going to be 3 in September. He's lives, you know, 60 yards behind me here. I can see him every day. Like, I don't want to not have that. I want to be able to enjoy that, you know. So it was kind of like the industry that, you know, again, no offense to anybody, but the BMX industry is really kind of a hobby, right? There really isn't. It's not a big industry. The sport is fantastic. It's a great, awesome sport. I love it as a hobby, but the actual if I got together with a couple of people that I know and said, hey, let's put our heads together and let's throw some money in and let's get into BMX, what would I do? Like, what do we make another frame? Make forks, make products? Like, what are we going to do? Like, where's the market? Like you're really, you're really hard pressed to find a decent sized market to try to market your products to. And people all the time, they mention this company or they mention that company, and it's like, I know so many people, well, at the time before I got out, that were doing this thing just for fun, who had other businesses on the side, and they didn't need a return. They needed a write-off.
Yeah.
And they weren't doing it. And I'm not, again, no names, but there is a company that makes a lot of products that are real nice. And the guy that runs it doesn't need to. He doesn't need to do it. He does it for fun. It's not a make or break business for him. It's a hobby business. And that's kind of where I just drew the line. I'm like, I can't see anybody in this business who doesn't have something else going. I don't see anybody in this business not on the hamster wheel, not trading 60, 70, 80 hours a week of their time to get pay that doesn't match the time they put in just because they love BMX, right? So
that's a great point. And now that you're saying that, there's so many of these companies and people that I know about that likewise, that's what's going on. It's a write-off behind the scenes, or it's just something over here on the side.
It is. It is. I know we used to go to Interbike every year for the Interbike show. It's where all the dealers go to look at new products and stuff. And I had a friend who took a job with this one brand. The guy took the brand over and they make frames and all these products. And, he was just going to be the sales manager or whatever. And they get to Interbike and he's like, all right, man, we're going to kick ass. And the owner is like, hey, man, we're not here to do business, dude. We're here to party. We don't have to sell anything. We're here to have a good time. Let's party, man. Well, that's BMX right there. It really is. Like, you guys are in it and you love it. Tell me a company that's killing it where the owner doesn't have something else on the side going on, like an actual organically, the guy, this is all he does and the company's killing it. Who is it? I'm sure they're out there, but
maybe
there's not many.
Well, when you add the part in, they're killing it. That makes pretty much there. Because
short list.
Gate 9. There you go. The guy that makes number plates, Gate 9. That's about it.
Yeah. But and the thing is it something that can sustain someone? Can they pay their mortgage? Can they bank money for retirement? Can they have a lifestyle they want to have off of selling BMX parts? I'm not trying to trash the industry, but some people have literally asked me, man, I just don't understand why you got out. And it's like, man, I can go get in my van at 6 a.m. and pull back into my house at 4, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and make more money in one day than a whole week of doing BMX. And I'm going to sleep in my bed every night. And when I get a job, I'm never hearing, hey, man, what's my price? What's
that bro deal?
What's hook me up? When we had support teams, we had about 50 of them. And at one point, one of the people, good people, nice people, they're like, hey, we bought in like 7 frames the last year from you. Mind you, there's a team. There might be 20 kids or 30 kids. Can we get one for free? And I'm like, you know what? Let me think about that. Since I know you pretty well, I'm going to just throw this back at you. Let me get your opinion. The next time I go to the grocery store, man, and I'm going to get up there and I'm going to throw a jug of milk down in the bread and I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I've been buying this for like 15 years, man, every week.
Yeah. Amen.
And they're going to look at me like I'm stupid.
Yeah. Like you're crazy.
No, you can't. It doesn't work that way. So the BMX business, in my opinion, it just isn't the greatest, but the BMX sport is awesome. And, I'm sure people in the industry are going to be saying, oh, this guy's got sour. I don't have sour anything. I have a career now in a business that does well. My wife does well. And we don't have really much drama. And there's no bro deals happening, you know?
How does that concept like that even start?
Bro deals?
Yeah, I mean,
That's a great question because
any,
You know how?
Yeah, any opinion on that? Like, yeah, how does that?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly how.
Okay.
People do not understand that if your friend runs a business and he's selling a widget for $10, as your friend, you should buy one and give him $15
Yes.
because he's going through hell to make that business work. But people in BMX don't do that. They go up to the guy selling the widget for $10 and say, "Hey man, what's my deal? How about $5, man? I know you're not paying much for those." That's not a friend. You know, like 2 weeks after I shut down GHP, man, I used to get phone calls all the time. My phone was just going off, man. And then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks, man, it would have been like 4 days. I told my wife, I said, "Hey man, I think we got to go to the phone store, man. I think my speaker's broke. My ringer must not be working because my phone." And it was no joke. Like it was like just everybody's gone. You know, I want to say 99.5% of the people gone.
Yep.
See you later. You know,
Sad.
I always, when the topic comes up, I've said this a few times. I don't ever remember growing up and going to a sporting goods store when we played Little League baseball and I played ice hockey, and ever hearing a parent or even my parents turn to the person at the store and say, "What's my price on that baseball glove?" or "What are my price on the hockey gloves?" Like,
Yeah.
I know right now you'd have done that at a hockey shop. My dad would have got his ass whooped. Like, you
you'll
just
hear it
don't
all
do
day long
that.
at a BMX race.
Yeah.
And that's and to your point, that's all you hear. You know,
Right.
What can I get it for? What do I got? What do I get? This and that. Yeah, I don't. Does that? Here's a question. I'm just throwing it out there for the people listening. Does this happen in mountain biking and road biking? Because I've been into those kind of shops, and I don't feel like someone walks in and says, "What's my price on a set of road bike wheels?" Like, I could be wrong, but I don't really see that happening.
Happens, but to the degree that it does in BMX, it's not
Okay.
even close. Not even,
The milk, your gallon of milk analogy. I got to tell you, I used that analogy, Greg, when I managed for Verizon Wireless. People would come in and be complaining about their bill that they paid for, that they also took advantage of the service, and they would want they'd want something. And I'm like, I've been shopping at the local grocery store, insert national chain name, my whole life. And, I've never just walked in and then be like, "You know what? Thank you for buying all those gallons of milk all those years. Here's 10 of them free."
Yeah. No.
yeah, it doesn't happen that way. you know?
No, not at all. No.
So,
That's
what can you do?
we got any questions that popped in? Anything? I did have this come up a few times. We've had it pop in, and it was also in our notes. The 29-inch GHPs, the completes you released.
Yeah,
Give us the story on those.
they're just frame sets. It's kind of like more like it's a project. It's definitely not a company deal, and it doesn't have any inclination that I'm getting back in or nothing. Just over the years, I've been asked many times to, like, "Hey, can you make some old school stuff, some retro stuff?" I think in 2014 or no, maybe 2010, we made like 50 20-inch and 50 24-inch, and they were retro chromed with and we sold them all, and it was cool. And then I would get asked all the time, and then the last few years I got asked quite a bit, and it was like one of them deals where, okay, you know what, I'll just make a small amount of them. I made like 25 29ers. We have a few left. And then I think I made 20 26ers. They're just frame, fork, bar, and post. And we have one of those left. And it's just for the sole purpose of just some of the guys that, like one of my buddies that lives in Australia, Tim Ward, good dude. And he rode for GHP back in the day. He was number one in Australia for quite a few times. And he wanted one. He bought the first 29er. He got the 001, and he just got it and built it up and rides it. And it's kind of like the purpose of doing it was, it's a cool thing to be able to, how do I say this right? It's a cool thing to offer something that means something to someone who, like 20 years ago or 25 years ago, they had one,
Mm-hmm.
Like, so the best analogy I can give you is, I was talking to my wife, and, when I was thinking of doing it, and I was trying to explain to her the deal, and she's like, "Oh, BMX." I'm like, "It's not BMX." And then my youngest kid, Jeremy, who, this dude, he's 26 years old, and he works at Sony Pictures. He's in the union. He does welding, and dude's just awesome. And so he basically stepped up and he says, "Mom, they're not buying frame sets. They're buying memories. Like, all the guys that are buying these probably had a GHP when they were younger, and it's an opportunity for them to kind of get another one, and and that's kind of what it is." So most everybody who's gotten one has some history with GHP, and it's just something that we decided to do. Not doing GHP.
Right.
Say that again.
I mean, the best part is that I now have a 29er and a 26er. Jeremy has a 29er. We can go ride, and still we're on a big BMX bike. It's kind of cool.
I like that.
The burning question is, what's the bro deal price on them?
When people say that, so I had this is great. I had a situation with this guy, only one time out of like probably 600 or 500 or 600 floor jobs that I do epoxy coatings, right? So I had one guy who called me up. Let's say he called me on a Monday, and he had a 2-car garage, and I'm like, "Yeah, price is $1,800. Start to finish, done, no extra fees, $1,800. He's like, "Well, what's the best price you can give me?" And I said, "Well, best price is $1,800. I said, "If you give me cash, okay, then I'll take $100 off, and I'll do it for $1,700. So I was like, "All right, I'll get back to you." So then he calls me the next day, and he goes, "Well, I've been thinking about it. I talked to my wife. What's the very best price you can give me?" And I said, "Well,
Oh my God.
the best price I can give you is $2,000. And he's like, $2,000? What do you mean? That's $300 more." I said, "Well, we're in the neighborhood now of that. Every time you ask me, it's going to add a couple $100 onto the price." So that's how it works. And at this point, I'm not doing a floor for you. Okay? Period. And he just couldn't know what to do with that. He called me 2 or 3 more times, and I had to block his number.
Oh my God.
That's only happened once. But it's like, I gotta pay for material.
Yep.
The way to explain it, and this goes for BMX, it goes for what I do, it goes for any job. When you buy something, you're not paying for the product. The first thing that you're paying for is the expertise, the experience, the time, and the knowledge that the person bringing that product to market has put into it. You're paying for that. Unless you're buying some cookie cutter piece of crap, which there's a lot of that out there. But for the most part, if you're hiring a contractor to come do work for you, it's not all about the price of materials and his time. You're paying for the expertise that this dude brings to the table, It's that simple, you got a lot of people that don't get that, but I really believe that that's the deal, You don't want to be buying stuff from people who are just buying it off of, page 32 on the catalog, and slapping their logo on it. They don't know anything about, testing or anything about anything, right? So, oh, wow. So I got a phone call, and I got to can you see me still all right or no?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
good.
we're
You're
good.
fine. Yep.
Oh, I'm going to leave it. And once it'll go. Buddy, Bobby Stram from Florida is calling me. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's,
Yeah, it does.
There's a lot of people chiming off in the chat. Good work isn't cheap, and It's quantity or quality over quantity. True.
Kinda, you get what you pay for kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you definitely want, like, if your, your plumbing is out, you not want to go with the cheapest price. You want to go with the price that this guy knows what he's doing. You got to be paying for the experience that he has and the knowledge they're going to bring that does a good job. So
I know I've seen a meme kind of traveling around that basically said the cost of my services isn't equal to. I'm getting it wrong. Do you remember what it is?
I do, and I can't think of it either.
I think that's something similar to that.
To your
But
budget, I think it is. The cost of my services isn't reflective of what your budget is,
Right.
so to speak, which I think is true.
Obviously, we all need to be conscious of what we're spending and what things cost. But for me, the cost on something is always like the third thing down. I don't just go straight to this price on this thing. This is $20. It's like, no, I'm not, like, we're not even talking about price. I want to know the process. I know what I'm getting and who's doing it for me.
Right.
Then talk about the price,
Yeah, it's like when we bought our new car, I tried to convince him to sell me the Cadillac for the Equinox price.
Yeah, good luck with that.
We have an Equinox.
Yeah, we do.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Kind of switching gears. I wanted to touch on this about these like old school races that have been going on. Have you? Yeah. I know Stu's been to a couple of them. Yeah. Like, have these perked an interest? Have you checked any of them out yet? What do you think of them?
I went to the Dirty Knobs deal, the Dirty Fest. It was so awesome, man. It was great. And we set up our pit and we showed our 29ers and 26s and had some software stuff. It was just a fun weekend, right? But I have no desire to ride a bike. I'm like, I must have been asked 50 times, like, hey, how come you're not racing? You can race. No, man, I don't want to race, dude. I don't care. I've had Terry Tennant ask me, like, yo, you got to come back and race. You're going to race 51, 55, whatever. I'm like, listen, dude, I'm not going to race, dude. I don't care if they want to, like, pay all my expenses and give me 10 grand to come out there and race. I'm not going to race anymore. I'm done racing, right? So anyone that doesn't get that, I'm just going to go down a short list because it's way long. So I'll just go with the first 4. Anyone who doesn't get it has never dislocated their shoulder, never broken their, both their toes, never had a blown out lower back, herniated disc, bulging discs. I could keep going.
Yeah.
Like when I get up to go get coffee in the morning, it's like a Rice Krispies commercial. Dude. It's like pop, crack. I feel good and I'm fit. I'm certain when I watch those guys racing that I could be doing just fine in there. But
sure.
But beyond that part of it, like the physical part, I just don't even have any ounce of desire to go racing. I just don't. I think that when I race, when you have ADD, like I still every day I deal with it. It's not like it ever goes away. You just have like this energy. I think I spent all my energy on the BMX circuit. I really do. Racing 40 plus weekends a year, which probably 90% of those would get on an airplane and go to a race. And doing that for so many years, I just don't have any desire for it. And, you got people that are not like that. Stu is, if he's not racing his BMX bike, he's racing a mountain bike. If he's not doing that, he's racing his road bike. It's just, he just wants to do it all the time. I don't. Dude, I'd rather sit and hang out. I'd rather go on a walk. I'd rather take a ride along the beach, I'm not down to get on the gate and race anymore. There's no more competitive desire to try to beat someone at all. I just don't. Zero.
Well, we got a couple more things we wanted to get to. We're going to do the trivia question here, and then we're going to do lightning round right after the trivia question. So you guys in the chat, pay attention, and we're going to send it over to Melissa here for the trivia question, and hope you guys were paying attention here. All right.
All right, don't answer this, Greg. You should know the answer. All right, I would like to know. Well, actually, I guess I should show you maybe what you wanna win. I got a sticker pack there, and I got one of the show sponsors. We just got a whole bunch of swag from Ghetto Wear. So there's
cool.
It's Mr. Bill Prince himself.
Trucker hat there. Yeah, William Prince's company there.
Go.
And then I got another chat and show sponsor, Bombshell BMX t-shirt here. Looks like that's a youth large. Okay, so question of the night. Who was Greg always taking second place to in his early amateur career? And bonus, if you can name that person specifically.
Ooh, I see what you did there. All right, we're going to move into lightning round whilst the answers come in. Lightning round is brought to you by our good friend Brian Fell over at brandedpopups.com. The mission for Branded Pop-Up is to provide a fan or a brand-sponsored supporter with the opportunity to purchase the canopy of their style to match their favorite company. If you're a co-sponsored rider or a team, why not have the brand, canopy that you're supporting? You guys can check them out over at brandedpopups.com. All right, Greg, lightning round works like this. We're going to rapid fire some questions over to you. You just answer with what pops right in. And Melissa's going to start us off. You ready?
Yep. The last movie you liked so much you watched it twice.
Oh my goodness. Wow. You know what? It's got to be The Matrix. I mean, I watched it like 30 times.
I like it.
Oh, I can get down with that.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite sport other than BMX?
Supercross, motocross.
Right.
Cool. What is one place you would like to travel that you've never been to?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'd like to cruise, not when it's freezing, but I'd like to check Alaska out. That would be cool.
Oh, nice.
I like that. I wouldn't cruise either. Not up there.
What was the last thing you Googled?
The last thing I Googled was something that had to do with epoxy. Probably, I watch a lot of epoxy, kind of like short educational
Oh, yeah.
stuff, so pretty boring stuff. Yeah.
I like it. Favorite thing you like to do on a date with your wife?
What I love doing, man, is we drive out and we hang out with our son. But what's really awesome is when they both, my one boy has 3 kids. The 2 youngers, they both play football. So when we go out there and we put our chairs out and we're just watching them play football, run around playing football, it's great.
I love that.
It's the best.
All right. What is one sport that you would never try or have never tried?
I'd have to safely say I'm cool with never skydiving, as though I know people say it's great, but I'm the guy that always says, "Hey man, what if my chain snaps when I'm doing sprint? What if the chute doesn't open up?" So I couldn't be down with that.
All right.
Your favorite television show?
I don't have one. I don't watch TV. I mean,
That's okay.
we watch TV, but I don't watch like regular TV.
Yeah, no, fair.
I think my favorite series would be Breaking Bad. That is my favorite.
We should. That's a tough question because TV watching as a whole has
That's true.
really changed.
We'll rephrase that one.
We turn the TV on, and probably 80% of the time we're watching YouTube. We go to look for stuff.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah, fair.
program.
Yep, I hear you.
What superpower do you wish you could have?
Patience. Yeah, I wish I could have patience. I don't think that's a superpower, but
That's all right.
having patience to just slow down a little bit, in the brain when you're doing stuff, it would be good.
All right.
Preference for aluminum, carbon, or chromoly, if needed to choose.
I just think that nothing rides like Pro Molly. Nothing.
Okay.
If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would that advice be?
Wow, I could just straight up answer that, but it really would paint the picture of like people would be saying, "Oh, this guy really hates BMX." I'm gonna just say I love BMX. All right. What I would tell the 18-year-old is, "Hey, man, there's a whole other world out there aside from BMX
What?
that you probably should take in and not just be 24/7, 365 trying to figure out how to win a BMX national." That's what I would say.
Sounds like good advice
To
to
which my
me.
18-year-old self would probably say, "Hey, man, F off, get out of my face,
I know what I'm doing.
here to win, whatever, you know." Yeah.
All right, Greg, what would you say is your favorite guilty pleasure?
Probably sitting down with half a gallon of Rocky Road ice cream. I don't do it often, but that would be cool.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah. Not real exciting, but that's the deal.
Hey, works for me.
What would be, if we were to poll 10 people, what would they say would be the most annoying thing about you?
Probably a lot of things. Yeah. I mean, maybe when we're conversing, maybe I need to kind of shove my opinion a little bit. I need to listen better. 10 things. I need to be not so anal about time. If it's 8 o'clock, dude, I got to get there at 7:45. Like I got to just chill out a little bit. I don't know if I can give you a top 10 without.
Oh, no, just one. Just one was fine. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, we surveyed the top 10 people.
If we surveyed 10 people, what would be the one thing?
Yes, got it.
Okay.
Sorry.
The favorite type of music you enjoy listening to?
Pink Floyd all day, every day. I can listen to Pink Floyd every day.
I like it.
All right. Your favorite type of cookie?
Chocolate chip.
All right.
What is one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
I think a lot of people think that I'm really like all into BMX. Like if people come to my house, they don't see BMX. They might see some bikes in the garage, But I think that a lot of people might think that I'm all about BMX and have like the BMX room and all the trophies and all the stuff, and I don't have that.
Okay.
I just don't. No.
All right. Which one am I at? Oh, your favorite. Oh, okay. I don't know how I lost track of this one. Your favorite Supercross rider?
Man, that's a tough one. There's so many good guys. I'm an Eli Tomac fan. I'm a Cooper Webb fan. Jeremy McGrath back in the day, Ricky Carmichael. But yeah, right now, I would say today, right now, Eli Tomac, and it's just like, not the same without him being there.
No, not at all.
No.
Are you a peanut butter connoisseur?
I eat peanut butter every day, and I don't use it on sandwiches. I don't put it on crackers. I just walk on over to the drawer, grab a spoon, and just dip that baby and get some peanut butter and be on my way.
All right, so is it creamy or crunchy?
Crunchy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's where I was going.
All right, last question. Your favorite Wednesday night live streaming BMX show?
Well, I mean, we're sitting here right now.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
We need that ego boost every week,
I
too.
need to backtrack and watch the brother-in-laws as well, because I know that was just
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, we did. We had a good time talking with him.
that's cool.
Interesting to hear brother-in-law. We did talk about you a little bit, too, so I knew the connection, but...
So many people don't understand that. They think I married his sister.
Right.
It's funny.
That is kind of fun.
All right, so we're gonna check in with Melissa, and
Yes.
did we get a winner?
I did actually get quite a few. But the first person in my chat order was Mr. Greg Esser, who came up with your wife Liz.
That's the thing that he says, please.
Yeah, he said Liz in your wife.
Yeah.
So, but shout out to Damon Sprague who had it right. Mr. Sloan also had it right. Who else? I thought I saw a couple. Oh, Cardozo.
Just to update the results column, she's still winning today. So just daily basis to her.
I like it. So Greg, if you could message the show.
I got him.
Oh, you have?
We got him lined up for an upcoming show.
Oh, so you want me to just scab his mailing address then?
Yeah.
It's not going to go out before then anyway, so.
We talked about Esther?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to put a little entry question, the first one there. Ask him how he got the name Poodlehead. Just
All
that's
right,
a good.
All right.
Hang on.
Well, he heard you, so we'll see if we'll see if he chooses to answer your chat question.
Good. That's great.
All right. And we're going to real quick talk about who's coming on next week. And we have the return of Jim Hacksaw Severt. It's going to be back on for Moto
Nice.
2.
Excellent.
What's it?
Awesome.
Yeah, he's coming on next week.
And I'm sure he's going to have some things to talk about. He had a little bit of drama out there at his trail, so we'll get to the bottom of that. And Jim's always a fun chat with. So looking forward to next week's show. And before we get out of here, I want to toss it over to Greg. Greg, I'm going to put the screen on you, and you can say thanks and shout outs, however you'd like. You can kind of take us on out of here for the evening, all right?
Awesome. I appreciate it. Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. It's cool to be, out of BMX and still have people reach out and want to hear some of the stories and backstories on different things. So I appreciate that. All the BMX guys out there that are watching, everybody, all my friends. It's just, I always feel like, we're all connected. We're all part of this thing that we love, either now or when we were kids. And without, all the different things in place, none of us would be here. So, it's great to be part of the community, and I appreciate you guys having me, and really, really enjoyed it. Great experience.
Well, thank you for joining us.
And I appreciate your honesty and your ability to I don't want to say like not give a shit, because that's not a very nice way of putting it, but I think that it's good to be able to kind of say the good, the bad, and the ugly along with everything. So it was nice to hear your perspective. I appreciate that.
I appreciate it.
And I don't think it's necessarily negative. I think that you're taking a lot of experience and wrapping it all into one.
I just try to be honest, and like I'll tell my friends, it's like, if you're going to ask me something, make sure you really want an answer, because I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. And just because I'm telling you what I think doesn't mean I'm right, but I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's really what I want from people as well.
Makes sense.
Well, before we get out of here, I got one more question for you.
Yes,
And would you be interested in joining us for another show in the future?
Yeah, anytime, man. It's cool. I'm here. We're hanging out, and yeah, it's cool.
We
So
appreciate that.
And
reach out and let me know. We'll be back.
well, we got the Zoom thing worked out, so next time, even
Yeah,
Easy peasy next time.
yeah.
I'll have to update the laptop. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Hey, it worked out fine. Everything sounded fine.
That's good.
That's great, man.
But I want to thank everyone that tuned in. Lots of people watching live. We really appreciate you guys. Without you, we don't do this. So we appreciate it. We'll get the podcast version loaded later this evening or tomorrow. So you guys want to check it out and share that around. We'll have the podcast version up. And thank you, Greg, for joining us. And from all of us here at the All Things BMX show, I want to thank everybody. And as always, good night. God bless. And you stay classy, BMX.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.